Welcome. Welcome. This is a Sunday morning starts it show. I have a good guest. Oh, speaking of my guest, I recognize that cup you were just drinking out of. I have an espresso machine just like that one, and they sent me the cups just like that one, that exact one.
Yeah.
So that was
My wife's Christmas present. It's it was good for both of us.
I was really having that like earlier. So a couple of things. One, to start, I don't know what this looks like. I just did it today, just like you did. But StreamYard changed something with Periscope. They deactivated their support for Periscope. So now if you're looking on Twitter, you can see this show. I have heard, and correct me if I'm wrong on this, that you can't comment on there. That's really bad. I can't see the number of viewers on there. You can't comment on there. So that's really not ideal for me. But what that means essentially is that I need you to go to the YouTube, going to the Twitter and just watching the time when you can watch it. But I need you to go to the YouTube and see the link. And I can't even post comments to Twitter in that show. So, this is very, just for my first minute and a half of this change is not ideal. So very much not ideal, and actually kind of quite annoying, which I can say on this channel. It's not what I wanted to open the show with, but I'm actually very frustrated because I can't comment in there and I can't see anyone's comments from there. But anyway, let's, okay, this is actually really annoying, but that's not what I want to start with. All right, so how do we get comments from everyone on Twitter then who doesn't, whatever. All right, let's just move on from this tech nightmare. So I assume anyone watching this show knows about Mike Tagliere. As you all know, or maybe if you don't know, he died yesterday of COVID. He was vaccinated. He had been in the hospital for a very long time. I don't know the exact amount of time, but it was, maybe a month and a couple of weeks. He was 39. I mean, he was very young. So it's honestly, it's very sad. The whole thing is very sad. I will say, I posted this on Twitter. I'll put the link in the chat because it's important. To me, it's something I wanted to be heard on. I wanted to make sure people knew I felt this way. But essentially what I said was that I felt, and it's true, the Fantasy Pros podcast, which is, that's Mike worked for Fantasy Pros. That was the first podcast that I listened to in the fantasy space. And it was, it was the reason that I became more interested. And then I eventually found other podcasts, other stuff. And then, now I'm here. But, without that podcast, you can click on the link if you want to see it here. I mean, bringing it up on the screen doesn't do any good, but there it is. Without that podcast, I'm probably not in this chair, probably not doing this show. And, without Mike, I wouldn't be here. So with that said, there was some discussion, both in group chats, individual chats, a lot of other things about what to do. What would be the best way to kind of honor Mike's memory or, dedicate things to him or what would he want? And I think for me, what he would want is for us to continue creating content and use that as a way to remember him and, the impact that he had on the industry. This show right now, it's tough for me to do. That news is devastating to me. I mean, a lot of people actually thought about checking in on me personally because they thought I would be really upset about it because I talked about how much Mike meant to me in the past. Look, I didn't personally know him, he did follow me on Twitter about a month and a half back. That was one of the more proud moments, of my fantasy Twitter career, so to speak. But I didn't know him personally, but that's not, you don't have to know someone personally for them to mean a lot to you, especially in today's interconnected world with media. Even if you don't know someone personally, sometimes it feels like you know them. It feels like they're important. It feels like they're a part of your life. And he was a part of my life on that podcast for a long time. So what he would want, and I know him from his work well enough to know this, is what he would want is for us to continue doing this type of content, to keep helping people and to keep being there and to keep this community and keep trying to make this community in the image that he would have wanted to see. So that's what I'm going to do. If I'm a little bit muted, a little quieter on today's show, that's part of why it's hard for me to get excited right now. You're probably not going to see me if you've watched my shows, that I get excited and animated and happy about when I really like a player, or I can be really vicious against the player when I really don't like them. You're probably not going to see a lot of that from me today. I'm a little more just kind of on the muted side. I just want to do the show and just put it out there without my emotions about this. The fantasy space right now are not with this show. They're, with Mike and his family and his wife and his kids. And he had a little kid. I mean, it's brutal. It really is. So anyway, I just want to say that to open the show. I usually don't talk about anything other than start sit on these shows, but I mean, this was trending on regular Twitter. So this was a big deal, not just for us, but this was a news story, and I feel the need to talk about it. I'm going to talk about it again on Ask DLF on Tuesday. I want to hear, Cal on it and, talk about it on DLF and, speaking for DLF in that case. But in this case, speaking for me, it's just, I just wanted to say something, and I'm devastated. I am. When I know this is going on for a while, but when someone, I kind of had begun to accept that this was probably going to be the reality. When someone goes on a ventilator in a hospital for a long time, they usually don't come back. So I've had a little bit of time to kind of process it. This wasn't a surprise, but that doesn't make it any easier. So, that's where I'm at right now. We're going to keep doing the show. I put up my start sit thread last night. I answered all the questions. And, even though, sometimes it's how people act when times are tough, really, that defines you as a person. So that's what we're going to have to do. Anyway, I monologued for a long time. I want to, welcome Brett to the show. I know we talked about this in advance. He knew I was going to do, this kind of dedication at the top. And so why don't you introduce the people? And then I know you said you had also something you wanted to say about Mike. So go for it.
Yeah. So that was, I agree with all your sentiments. Been following Mike and Fantasy Pros for a long time, and it was unexpected because of his age and because although we all know about COVID and it's it's a reality, it's still so young, and he would have thought that he would have been able to beat it and make it through. I'm as a son, husband, and dad, I'm heartbroken for that family. The only thing, the only light on the situation is how the fantasy community has come together and raised money for that family, and you can just see how many people he touched. That's it. But it's I think we'll be heartbroken as a community for a long time, but we'll come together. So yeah, I'm Brett Brito. Can find me at DadBodBrett on Twitter. And we're here to answer your start sit questions, and let's try to win some games today.
Yeah.
Oh man.
I know. I know that just given the new technology, I know if you're on Twitter, you're seeing this on Twitter, you can't comment. If that's so, you can't weigh in on what we're saying. If you look on my Twitter page, you'll see the link to the YouTube. If this is really how it's going to be with Twitter, where you can't comment, because I want people to, I want the people listening to this show who heard what we just said. I want the people to be heard on that. I want people to be able to go back in the chat later and see all of the support for Mike. So if that's how it's going to be with Twitter, with this new way of doing things, I'm just not going to broadcast it there, and I'm only going to put the show on YouTube, which I'm fine with. But it's just frustrating that I know there's people probably watching this who can't, comment. But anyway, let's move on. So from Chiragdor, hey guys, good morning. Got an injury, need a higher floor, Visca or Mooney? Well, we're not off to a great start. I'm not gonna lie. If you need a higher floor,
I think it's Mooney, right? Yeah.
I mean, just to be perfectly honest, these two both have a floor of 0, right? I mean, they have a floor of 0, don't they? I mean, the floor for these guys is 0. I mean, if you told me that either of these guys got you a 0, would you really be surprised? I mean, we don't know anything about what Fields really is going to do at all. He could do anything. So, ugh. I don't think either really has a higher floor or not. So I have Mooney 44 and Visca 46. So I guess I'll go with Mooney. But yeah, I'm not really super excited. He says it's PPR. That doesn't really change anything for me. That doesn't change. That doesn't really change anything.
I'm going Mooney too. It's not, and I have him a little further than you do, but I have Mooney ahead.
Yeah, I just not. I'm not super excited here. All right. Aw. Look, I appreciate that. I mean, thank you. I guess that's my best response, really. I appreciate that. The guys from Full Tilt, they had me on their pod a while ago. I actually had a really good time. It's one of the last guest spots I ever did. That's a whole other personal topic that I won't get into right now. That I've been trying to focus on this YouTube channel, so I haven't done a lot of guest spots. But they had me on. Okay, from Yems, Rondale Moore, Julio Jones, or Hollywood Brown for the flex PPR. So I totally get the idea of wanting to play Rondale Moore. I get that. I've heard a lot of that this week, and I understand that. He has looked great through 2 weeks, but of these players, I would go Julio Jones, right? I mean, he's Julio Jones. He looked good last week. These other two are too much of a maybe. What do you think?
I like Hollywood. He's starting to look good, and Detroit should be a fun matchup. But I have Julio 10 slots ahead of Hollywood and way ahead of Rondale. I agree. I'd love to start Rondale in a league this week, but I'm not forcing him into my lineup. I don't have him in any lineups this week, not yet.
Yeah, I mean, I could start him. I mean, I have him especially with Nuke a little bit. Yeah. I have Rondale at 33.
That's exactly where I have him.
Well, I mean, 33. I mean, some leagues you start 3 wide receivers, so some leagues 33 is a start. All right, I'm just mad about Twitter, so I'm just deleting the Twitter posts for this entirely, and let's see, because I think that's actually not helpful. I'm just gonna delete that. I'm deleting that because I'm very annoyed. We're gonna have a discussion with Twitter about that because talk about something that's really making me annoyed today. Last thing I need was another thing to make me annoyed. Well, I'm glad I'm learning this now. PPR. Okay. Gaskin or Rondale Moore? Didn't say a format, but I don't think it matters. He's Gaskin no matter what. right?
Yeah, I think this one's closer, and I don't feel great about Gaskin, but I'm still rolling out Gaskin if these are the choices.
Yeah, I don't feel bad about Gaskin. I have Gaskin at RB18. It's not bad.
I have him, I think, very close to that.
Let me just make sure
A
I'm not
little lower than you.
just make sure I'm not missing any any breaking news.
I know. Last time, I think it was week 1, I joined you, and there was the Trey
Last
Sermon,
one was crazy.
the no Zach Moss. There was some interesting ones. I think so. We already know Dalvin Cook is out. Deontay Johnson is out.
Well, okay, we know Deontay Johnson's out. Dalvin Cook is actually kind of a problem because he plays in the afternoon games. It's Dalvin Cook. So if in an ordinary situation, I guess we should have just talked about this, but this is just not gonna. This is not gonna be a normal show. I'm sorry. I'll probably get back to normal shows. I'm hoping when I do the show on Thursday, I can get back to some semblance of normal. But this is not going to be a normal show. So normally what we would have done is opened with that, actually, because I think that's the biggest – that's the biggest situation, right? If Dalvin Cook were active at all, you would play it, right? It's Dalvin Cook. You're not going to sit him. But he plays in the afternoon game, so you might not have an option. I do think that the odds are he doesn't play at this point. I think it's 80% he doesn't play. But if there's any way that I could somehow wait for Dalvin Cook, I would try. I would like to have that option if possible, unless it would really hurt you to not do that or to do that. So just watch your lineups in the afternoon for Cook. I don't expect him to play, but now if he doesn't play, I haven't thought too much about this. I had Cook at RB8, assuming that he was active and not quite healthy. And then I had Madison at 46 with the idea that he would get a little bit extra work. If Cook were out entirely, I think I would put Madison at right above Gaskin at 18. I'm not that
right after Gaskin, and I had Cook at 9, so we were close there.
Yeah, so we both kind of agree that Madison would be like a mid RB2. I haven't liked anything I've seen from Madison in his career, to be honest.
No.
With you. Nothing. There's nothing about him I like. So to me, he's a Jag. And for anyone who doesn't know, Jag is just another guy. That's what I think he is. I think he's just whatever. He's a whatever player.
Yeah, he's a body that may have opportunities today.
Yeah, that's exactly the case. And last time this happened, they gave a lot of extra work to Mike Boone. And then there was another time that they gave a lot of work to Amir Abdullah.
And they they've been bringing him up to their active.
Yeah, which is also a sign that
they did that again.
Which is also a sign that Cook is not going to play.
Yeah.
I would be shocked if Cook plays. But it's also, I think with Cook, it's the kind of thing where they're going to let him warm up. And if somehow they like what they see, I don't think they will, they'll let him go. They'll let him play. But I just can't see that happening.
But so my concern always with these, like, start your studs, and if Dalvin Cook is active, he can be active and get 10 carries and be really ineffective. So that's what I hate. So then you're going to start your guy, he's Dalvin Cook, and get a dud game. But so as a Dalvin Cook owner in a couple leagues, I'd rather he's just inactive, so I don't feel the urge to start him.
If I had the option to start Dalvin Cook, I would start him anyway if he were active.
That's the problem. Yeah, you're absolutely correct.
Yeah, I probably would downgrade him further. At this point, I just don't think he's going to be active.
I have in one league, I have Dalvin Cook or Kenyon Drake, and their games are 20 minutes apart. So we should know about Dalvin Cook before Kenyon Drake starts.
Yeah, for sure. So the other thing is, if you have Cook and Madison, you're not going to play both. So just reserve one spot for them. And if Cook doesn't go, then you just put Madison in. If Cook goes, you just play Cook. If Cook is active, I'd play Cook over Madison no matter what. I don't like Madison at all. I'd rather have 9 unhealthy carries from Cook than anything Madison's going to give me. So Madison unless Cook is out. Like even if Cook is active and limited, I'm still not playing Madison because I only want to play Madison if he's getting everything. If I don't know what he's getting, I'm not playing a mediocre talent who's getting maybe. That doesn't sound appealing, especially with what Minnesota's been doing lately. I mean, with the emergence of KJ Osborne, and honestly, Tyler Conklin has been serviceable, right? I mean, he's been serviceable. He's been fine. So with the emergence of two more, like Osborne has looked great and Conklin has been serviceable. The emergence of more passing game weapons, Cousins has looked good in the first 2 weeks. He's not the reason they lost. The kicker and the defense are the problem. So he's not costing them the games.
And this could be a shootout because both of these defenses have been disappointing.
They're not going to be able to stop Seattle.
Yeah.
How are they going to stop Seattle? What are the Vikings going to do to stop Seattle this week? They couldn't stop anyone. They couldn't stop anyone last year. We got a whole bunch of nonsense about how the defense improved. It got so much better. Really, it doesn't look better to me. It looks terrible. It looks just as terrible as it did last year. And honestly, if they continue to lose, I think Mike Zimmer is going to be gone. Fair or unfair. Anyway, from Full Tilt Pod, I appreciate what you said, made truly, but I have one for you. No, that's exactly what I want, actually. That's exactly what I want is for you to keep asking questions. Keep asking questions. If you keep asking questions, that'll, allow us to continue doing this, these kind of shows for people. Okay. Marvin Jones and Rondale Moore, 4 flex spots, 1 point bonus for big plays. It's pretty easy for me.
Yeah, I'm still going Marvin Jones.
Really?
Yeah.
No, not for me.
So what? Rondale gets 1 big play, and that's the he's not going to get more than 1 big play.
In my prediction, and I wrote an article about this, so you can read it. It's up on DLF right now. It's called the Sunday Six Pack. I write that every week. It is unfortunate that I just have no time to promote that article because Sunday morning is just bad time for me to be promoting an article. That's just not what I'm focused on Sunday morning. I'm focused on Start Sit. But it does come out every Sunday morning. It's on at dynastyleaguefootball.com, so feel free to go read it. I'll put the link in the chat when I get a chance. So, but anyway, one of the things I discussed in that article was the idea that Rondale Moore's snap count has been rising, but not really at the expense of the other receivers. They instituted 3 and 4, especially 4 wide receiver sets in week 2, specifically to try to get Rondale Moore the ball. So, as you know, this week, DeAndre Hopkins is injured. DeAndre Hopkins is going to play. DeAndre Hopkins always plays. There's 0 chance that DeAndre Hopkins is going to sit. That doesn't happen. So he's going to play. But that doesn't mean he's going to be 100%, and that doesn't mean he's going to run his full complement of snaps. I don't expect him to. I think he'll be more around like 80. He'll take some more plays off. I mean, that's what you do when you're injured. He'll play 75 or 80% of snaps instead of his usual 95 to 100. And what that means is that Rondale Moore will see the field more. He had 29% of snaps in week 1. I think he was around 48 in week 2. I expect him to get above 50% this week. And he's far more talented at this point in his career than Christian Kirk or AJ Green. And, these 2 players are playing in the same game. And the Jacksonville defense is putrid. It's putrid in every way. I mean, it can't stop anything. So, to me, this is not close. I would start Rondale Moore easily. And this is another thing, I'm still not bought in that Marvin Jones is the clear wide receiver 1 on the Jaguars. If that happens again this week, I'll be there. I do have Marvin Jones ranked the highest, but I ranked all of them as players I don't want to start. I have Jones at 42, Chark at 43, and Visca at 46. So I don't want to start any of these Jacksonville receivers. It's not start them all. This is the exact opposite of what the Steelers and Bengals situations are when they're healthy. This is one of them's going to produce. I don't know who it's going to be. So 1 out of 3, that doesn't sound good. I don't want 1 out of 3. That's 33%. That's not good odds. And I think it's going to be 1. So if it's only going to be 1, I just don't want to start this situation. But I will say that I didn't write about this in the 6-pack because Marvin Jones is not really a relevant dynasty asset. If it were redraft, I would have written about that, but not really dynasty. if Marvin Jones comes out this week, and I think you see, it sounds like you're already there. So, maybe I'm not there yet. If Marvin Jones comes out this week and dominates and he's the clear one and the other two do nothing, then you'll see a bigger spread in my rankings this week. But I don't buy it. I think that the other two are better players at this point in their career. Marvin Jones was a better player at his height, but, he's not better now.
Yeah, and I didn't get it going into the season. I thought Marvin was the 3 or at best the 2. But
well, I mean, I had it all wrong. I had Visca as the clear one, and Chark way down, and Marvin Jones even further down. So that wasn't right at all.
Yeah, I had Chark, maybe Marvin, and Visca were like there. I thought they were both going to get plenty of work. I guess they're all kind of getting work, but just not accurate throws and not doing much with them outside of Marvin. I think he's the one.
We definitely started.
I actually have them back to back, so maybe I shouldn't have. It was like more of a gut thing to say Marvin is definitely ahead of Rondo. I have them 32 and 33, but I think I'm still going Marvin. I mean, the big play thing, Marvin's capable of a big play too. I don't know what the definition of a big play is. 40-yard touchdown. That
didn't impact my thinking whatsoever. Yeah. That's so hard to predict that I just ignored that and just went with my rankings. We do have Rondo in almost the exact same spot. You actually have. We actually have Rondo. If you have Jones at 32, we both have Rondo at 33 exactly. So I remember we agreed a lot the last time we did this. Okay, play 2 non-PPR, Swift, Madison, and Edmonds. So one thing that I'm really bad at, because this is not that much of an issue, is times of games. So the Detroit game is earlier, and the Vikings game is later. And the other
game, I think, is a 1 p.m.
Cardinals is 1 o'clock. So you're not going to be able to wait. You're not going to be able to wait for Cook or to wait to know. So in that case, Swift, I'm never sitting Swift. I have Swift. It's not my favorite matchup. I mean, I have Swift at RB14. And I think in this case, I'm fine starting Edmonds against Jacksonville. I'd maybe have a tiny preference for Madison if Cook were out, but you're not going to know 100%. And since I'm not going to know 100%, I'd just go Swift and Edmonds. I'm very happy to play Edmonds this week. I mean, I said I would have Madison right behind Gaskin, but the guy I have right behind Gaskin is Edmonds. So it's one spot. I'll just eliminate the headache and go with Swift and although it is non-PPR, which really doesn't make me want to start Edmonds. That does hurt, but I don't know how good is Madison.
Yeah, I mean, if you don't have a backup plan for Madison, which you pick these 3 guys, you don't really seem to have a backup plan, then I think it's just safer to go with Edmonds. Because like you said earlier, if Cook is healthy at all, he's going to get some touches. Madison becomes useless. Like, you don't want to start him at that point.
It's a risk. I do think that the chances that Dalvin Cook... Checking my phone to make sure remember what happened last time. We in the middle of the show, Trey Sermon is a healthy scratch. Zach Moss is a healthy scratch. This was week 1. And I was like, oh, well, okay, just cancel some of the things we said in the beginning of the show. Because that was just crazy that we had all those relevant inactives in the beginning of the show. All right, let's keep going. What's up? Higgins out. Yeah. I love it. No, we're humans. I mean, I live alone. I'm married to the people. So, I'm married to all of you. So you guys are, what I focus on. Most people in the community have kids and have wives or whatever they have. So I always think it's we should realize like what the real important thing is in life. I love it. Oh, I didn't even answer this. All right, I'll answer it from Ryan. Well, so Higgins is out. Higgins is not going to play. Which is the exact opposite of what I said on Thursday show. So I'm very wrong about that. I'm sorry. Should I go Will Fuller, Jacoby Myers, or Jamal Williams? Can I get a format on this, please? Okay.
I'm not starting Fuller yet. especially
Yeah.
with Jacoby Brissett.
As sad as it is, I think I would start Fuller. Ordinarily, I don't even know what I would say ordinarily, but whatever. Who cares? I would start Fuller, actually. I would. Well, I mean, what am I going to do? Start Jamal Williams against Baltimore? Backup running back against Baltimore? I'm not going to do that.
No, I wouldn't do that. And then Jacoby, I mean,
PPR.
New Orleans isn't bad. They're a pretty decent defense, and he's getting targets, but last week wasn't very good, even in
Honestly,
PPR.
I just risk it with Fuller. What else am I feel like, what else am I going to do? I don't want to start any of these guys, personally.
Yeah.
I really don't. Yeah, no, from MJ, Rip Tag, Rest in Peace, we lost a gem, Purser family, 100%. 100%. I mean, that's why this show has been tough to do. And, it's probably going to be tough for a while. But let's do the best we can.
Hopkins is officially active, but both of us expected that.
Yeah, I never had any doubt that Hopkins would play.
Marlon Mack is a healthy scratch. I think we thought that might happen eventually, but
that just goes to show T. Higgins is inactive, like we thought. Marlon Mack, a healthy scratch, I don't think that changes anything.
No.
I don't think I did my rankings this week with the idea that Marlon Mack would have any role. So
yeah, and I never downgraded JT because of Mack. I know that there was some people that thought Mack was going to have a role, but
yeah, I mean, they signed Hines to a massive contract extension. It's clear what they want to do. We didn't even answer this. All right. Speaking of Hines, Pollard, Hines, or Fuller, half PPR. Ugh, I mean,
already starting Zeke. Philly D's not that bad. I mean, they're not good.
I don't know why. I feel like I would just put Fuller out there. I don't know. Maybe I'm just higher on Fuller. I mean, I have Fuller at wide receiver 39. For some reason, I just kind of feel like I'm not that worried because Fuller wasn't hurt. Like, if he's good, he wasn't hurt. I mean, he was just suspended and then he had a personal matter. So it's not like he's coming back from an injury or there was rehab or anything. Like, if he's good to go, he's good to go. There's no worry that he's going to aggravate something. So I don't have that much of a problem in starting. I mean, Fuller to me is good enough that I don't feel like I need to wait and see. My issue is with Brissett. Fuller probably rank higher.
Well, that's what I'm waiting to see. Not if Fuller's good. I've always thought Fuller's good. It's can Brissett get him the ball? I always thought Fuller had a decent chance at being the wide receiver 1 in fantasy points for the Dolphins this year. I think I'm going Fuller here. Hines and Pollard, their roles just don't feel safe enough for me here. Fuller's gonna get targets.
Yeah, I still have Pollard only at 32. So like I'm still ranking Pollard as if he's like a flex type option at best. I'm still not there. I have Zeke at 11. If it happens again this week, you'll see that spread start to close.
Yeah, I have Zeke at 12, but I have Pollard and Hines lower. I have them 38 and 40.
Oh, so a lot lower. I have Hines at 35.
Yeah.
Who's going to be the better failure from the Smithwation? John or Ingram, PPR. They're my Dynasty guys. Oh, I'm really sorry. I'm really considering your Patreon because I need help. Well, I mean, I would consider my Patreon. Somehow I have patreon.com/fantasy advice. Somehow. I'll put the link in the chat. There it is. I would consider it. I mean, there's my link. And I'd consider signing up for it. I think it's great. I think I would take my advice personally. I really would. I think that, I always listen to my own show, and I think that my advice is the best. So look, as much as I love doing this show, and I do love doing this show, I definitely love getting to know people on my Patreon more. I get to know people personally. I mean, right now I'm just talking to you through a chat message, right? I mean, that feels like a little impersonal. Like I don't know anything about you. You don't, I mean, you know me, but like you see me, but you know, I don't get to know anything about you. I don't get to like learn about your team and your league or any of that good stuff. And I really enjoy that. I really do. You know, I don't only do Patreon, obviously, and I don't obviously only do Patreon for money. And I've said this many times, if my job could just be Patreon and what I do on Patreon, I would do it. I like doing that more than anything else by a lot. So that's like my real passion, I would say, is helping people individually. You know, talking them through their situations, helping them, you know, win their leagues. Because then I really feel it. When you win, I feel it. When you make a good trade, I feel it. And Brett knows about this. Like, I feel it. I see it. Like, I get that, you know, feeling that I helped on a much more immediate level than from answering a chat message. I'm not going to remember later how these start-sit questions worked out. I'm not big on, like, looking back like that. So, but if you're on my Patreon, I will definitely remember how you're doing. And most of them come in to me every week and are like, "Oh, I won this week," or "I didn't win. How can we do better next week?" That kind of stuff. So it's just something I really like. So, yeah, I know that was just one big advertisement and not really, I didn't answer the question at all. But I do love my Patreon. And who's gonna be the better failure? I mean, I played Janu this week. I'd play Janu this week. I'd rather have Janu in Dynasty. Evan Ingram is a no-go. Evan Ingram is a no-go for me.
I am with you, but you hate Ingram, and I don't hate Ingram. But I have these two fairly close. I have them outside of tight end 1. I have Jonu 13 and Ingram 16.
Yeah, I have Ingram at 26.
I have Ingram after Higbee and Hooper. Ugh.
Yeah, I have Ingram at 26. So,
Whoa.
No, thank you. No, thank you. Remember how I said that I like didn't need Fuller to play and see that he's healthy? Ingram doesn't play well when he's healthy. When he's healthy, he doesn't play well. When everything is perfect, he's terrible. When everything is perfect, he sucks. So if he's injured, that doesn't work for me. I mean, if it doesn't work when everything's going well, how is it going to go when he's going bad? When it's going badly? It's not like he practiced in full in all the practices this week. It's not like he was a full go. He's not 100%. He still has that calf injury, and we know calf injuries are not fun. They get in the way, and they limit you. And a limited Evan Ingram, I don't care that the matchup against Atlanta is good. What's he going to get? Like 3 targets? I'm not starting Evan Ingram until he proves that he can handle. I mean, he could come out this week and play 20% of snaps. 20%. I mean, that's very possible. If he comes out this week and shows that he can play a 50, 60% snap share, then maybe I'll trust him going forward. But, you know, you could get 15 snaps from Evan Ingram, and then you have nothing. I mean, you could get 1 target, nothing. So I can't. I don't know going anywhere near him. He's a hard avoid for me. And if he comes out and looks good this week in Dynasty, I would get him off my team immediately. He's the worst. I mean, he's so unreliable. Every time, I mean, there are lots of injuries. He can't catch the ball. And, you know, part of the reason why I think people say, always the argument for Evan Ingram is the volume, but the reason the Giants have been bad all of the time is because they always throw to him. They always throw to him, and that's the problem. And when something is a problem, when volume is actually causing your offense to fail, eventually that volume is going to go away. Eventually the volume is going to go away. Eventually, no matter how long it takes, the coaching staff is eventually going to figure out that we cannot use this player as a featured part of our offense because our offense sucks when we do that. I really do not like Evan Ingram. So I think we know that. Did we answer this? We answered something similar.
We did. This is a different person asking the same question. Oh, but now it's pick 2. Last time it was pick 1, and we picked Julio.
So I would go Hollywood as the second.
Yeah, Hollywood's my second too.
Look, Hollywood's another one that I wrote about in that article, that we got to start taking seriously. We got to start taking him seriously.
Do you think, and you know, not to get too off topic, how much do you think it changes for him when Rashad Bateman comes in?
Well, I'm not a big fan of Rashad Bateman. I think that Rashad Bateman, I believe that Rashad Bateman is what I would call the hall of very good, as a prospect. He's very good at everything. He's no difference maker, not really special. He's not special. So he was put in the worst situation possible. And we know that they can't even support Hollywood Brown and Mark Andrews. They can't even do that. They can't even. Hollywood Brown is succeeding at Mark Andrews' expense. That's what's going on. I mean, if you look at you look at Andrews' numbers, when Hollywood Brown over the last 6 games of last year and the first 2, the last 8 games, he's been dominant. Hollywood Brown, and that success has come at Andrews' expense. You think they're also going to be able to support Rashad Bateman? No.
I think that's only going to hurt Hollywood.
No, but the problem is that do we know for sure that Rashad Bateman is actually a better player than Hollywood Brown? We know that. I mean, who's actually succeeding?
Just a bigger target, but
bigger isn't better. Like Hollywood Brown was also drafted in the first round. He was also, I mean, people bash on Hollywood Brown, but if Hollywood Brown had gone to like the Packers, I think Hollywood Brown would be a top 50 dynasty asset right now. There's nothing wrong with Hollywood Brown as a prospect. Was he overdrafted a little bit? Yeah, probably. But, he was drafted in the first round all the same. And Hollywood Brown is not Henry Ruggs. Hollywood Brown was a far better college prospect than Henry Ruggs ever was. And he actually produced something. Like, there's a big difference. So Hollywood Brown is first round draft capital. He started breaking out in the second half of year 2. Is that really so strange? He just turned 24, and now in his age 24 season in the NFL, all of a sudden he looks like a legitimate NFL, second weapon co-1 on a team with Mark Andrews on a low passing volume team. So if this is the real Hollywood Brown, just get rid of Rashad Bateman. He'll never ever do anything for you because there's just no way. They can support one passing weapon at best. Maybe one receiver in Andrews. They're not supporting 2. So, yeah. No, my concern level for Rashad Bateman in Dynasty is extreme. If Hollywood Brown comes out this week and dominates, I just want to get Rashad Bateman off my team immediately before I have to see it, before I have to see him not do well, because then the value is going to drop. Dynasty managers are so fickle these days. You know that. You know how fickle they are. All right. We're never going to get to all the questions today, but that's fine. I'm just happy we did the show at all. Good morning. That's a matter of opinion. Honestly, I'll be honest with you, this is not a good morning for me. But, I don't think there was any way it was going to be. It's going to take me a while to really process the news about tags and really feel better about it. I said I was hoping, my goal was to really kind of feel like myself on Thursday. I'm giving myself like 4 or 5 days to kind of, try to focus mostly on that, at least in the fantasy community. Okay. Rondale, CEH, Mike Davis, Odell, or Drake. Only one of these.
Such a long list. It's throwing me off.
Yeah.
It's like process of elimination. Mike Davis out.
No, not Mike Davis. Yeah.
I like Odell this week, but I don't think I'm picking him here.
Odell is kind of like Ingram to me. I need to see it. I'm more confident in Odell.
Yeah. I as a Dolphins fan and seeing teams run all over us, I don't, revenge game means nothing, but Jacob's out. I feel like Drake's going to have a good game. CH is not safe, but I feel like he's probably the guy you have to go with here.
I know. It feels wrong. It feels wrong that CEH is the guy that I'm recommending. I have CEH still at RB22. So, I've really dropped
than you.
I'm just not excited. I'm not excited by CEH this week. I don't want to start CEH.
Yeah, I feel like this is the last week you have to start him, though. And then if he busts this week, then...
Well, honestly, at RB22, in a lot of formats, you could have 2 running backs better and then flexing wide receivers in PPR. I think last week was the last week you had to start CEH. At RB22, that's not a must start anymore. That's someone that you're starting in most situations, but it's not a must start. So we're past that point already. CEH, here's my opinion on CEH. I have a new nickname for him. We have something for him. I think this is a good one. Clyde Edwards failure. I think so, because he's been a complete and utter failure. And if this week is bad, because it's already been so bad, if this week is bad, I'm just gonna be done. I'm gonna be done, and someone else can deal with this problem because it's not going to be me. He's someone what a disappointment. What a disappointment. I mean, I could have called him other things. Clyde Edwards average. Clyde Edwards boring. Clyde Edwards mediocre. Clyde Edwards overdrafted. Clyde Edwards meh-lair.
Yeah, I think in Dynasty, if he has a boom game, you might want to really sell at whatever you can get him there.
He can have as many boom games as he wants, but mediocre talent, I don't want that on my team. So he can go. I'm sick of him. All right.
And just to be clear, I think we both agreed he's the pick in that.
Bunch, yeah. He can be the pick, and I can not like him at the same time.
No, for sure. I just want to make sure we're giving it the answer.
Yeah, I know. All right, from Thomas.
I like this one. I'm going Tyson easy, though.
Yeah, this is not a hard question. It's Tyson Williams by a mile.
Yeah. I like Tyson a lot this week. I have him
Baltimore
17 right after David Montgomery for me this week.
Yeah, I have a little bit of doubt about Tyson Williams, just because I think Tyson Williams, to be honest with you, is on the Ronald Jones plan from last year, not this year. Ronald Jones is just in the doghouse this year. But last year, if you remember, the plan was Ronald Jones started the game and he was the workhorse. But one fumble, one mistake, and then he's just going to be pulled and Latavius Murray will come in. And then Tyson's never going to come back in the game. You saw that in week 1. I don't know what it was. I think it was a missed protection. There was something that he did.
It was a really bad missed protection.
Off the field, and he never came back on it. So no matter how good the matchup is, that's a possibility. He misses, he fumbles, and then he comes out and he doesn't come back in. Or misses a protection, comes out, doesn't come back in. So that is a possibility. So with that as a possibility, I have Tyson Williams only at 21, but I have Jamal Williams at 37, and I have zero interest in playing him whatsoever. So
Baltimore has a lot of injuries, but it's still Baltimore.
Yeah, the problem more is that the offense they're gonna be behind. They're gonna be behind, which means they're gonna rely on Swift in the passing game, and they're not gonna have a lot of carries. So Jamal Williams is just a no-go for me this week. Similar question about Tyson.
For me, no. I mean, I don't think it changes much if it's half PPR or
no. This wouldn't change my format.
Tyson. I have them fairly close though, 17 and 19, but I'm going Tyson this week.
I'd go Miles Sanders pretty easily, actually. I have Miles Sanders at 17 and Tyson at 21, but not in the same tier. I have Miles Sanders in the tier above. Players I'm very comfortable with this week against Dallas. Dallas's defense. Yeah, I know it can be mostly a pass funnel, but Dallas's defense is awful everywhere. Dallas's defense is awful everywhere. So Miles Sanders has a high chance of a touchdown this week. Tyson Williams I like, but again, I really do believe one mistake and he comes out. So Miles Sanders not getting benched. Not yet. I do think there's a good chance of Miles Sanders gets benched eventually, but he's not getting benched in this game. Bry Guy, play 2, PPR. Tyson Williams, Trey Sermon, Sony Michel. So we haven't really talked about Trey Sermon, and honestly, there's going to be a lot of stuff we didn't get to this week. But with Trey Sermon, as the people know, Elijah Mitchell missed tonight's game. That's a later game, but I'm very confident Elijah Mitchell's going to miss the game with his shoulder injury. They placed Jermichael Hasty on IR. So he's out with a high ankle sprain. So of all the running backs, they took Mostert out already, and then Jeff Wilson is still out. So of all the running backs that they took into the season, Sermon's the only one they have left. They have Trenton Cannon on the roster from last week, but he's mostly a specials teamer. And then they have
Jaquez Patrick.
Yeah, Jacques. It shouldn't be Jacques. It's not Jacques. It's Jaquez.
It might be.
Everyone's been saying Jaquez, but that name is always pronounced Jacques. So I don't know. Maybe people know something I don't, but I would just assume that was pronounced Jacques. But whatever. Patrick and Kerryon Johnson are the two other guys who are going to share work. You cannot start either of them. I did rank Patrick technically at
I
RB.
did too, but not very high.
At 58, but you can start him. Not really. I have Sermon at 28. I'm not confident.
Wow.
Even now, I'm not, but I would start him over Michelle. Okay, so then Michelle.
I have him at 21.
I just don't care. I don't care how. This is even worse than Tyson Williams. I don't care how good the matchup looks. I don't care what the
It's a
situation
really
is.
solid matchup, but I'm going Tyson too. Yeah.
Well, no, it's play 2.
Oh,
So,
play
but
two.
then we have
Well,
to
then
get
I'm
it.
going both of them. Tyson and
Well,
Trey.
okay,
I'm
but
not
then there's a
playing.
whole situation. Okay, blah blah blah. Okay, no craziness on the inactives list. Although the Giants claim, and this is another reason I don't want to start emanating, they say that Kadarius Toney will be a significant part of the offensive game plan today. I'll believe that when I see it. Believe that when I see it. Kadarius Toney has started his Giants career by missing practice because his feet hurt. Then he did nothing all training camp and preseason. Then he called the media a bunch of clowns, and then he, as a rookie, criticized his usage with the coaching staff. So he's off to a great start. That's just what we want from the first round
wheel
pick.
game.
That's just what we want. So with Sony Michel, Darrell Henderson's not. I think he's not going to play. It's similar to Cook, but that I think they're leaning towards holding him out. But there's a possibility he could play. They're leaving the door open for him to play. So, but that's another afternoon game, right? I mean, that's an afternoon game. So with that game in the
remember,
afternoon,
Trey Sermon is a 8
yeah,
p.m.
later.
game.
So you can wait on this. But even if Darrell Henderson doesn't play, I still wouldn't prefer Sony Michel against Tampa over Trey Sermon. So I would go with Sermon and Williams anyway. Mm-hmm. But it is important to note that right now, I still have it ranked as if Henderson's going to play. So I have Henderson at 34 and Michel at 44. If Henderson's out entirely, I would change that and I would have Michel. Essentially, I would just put Michel in Henderson's spot. And because I don't think Michel is going to get as much work as Henderson would have or be as effective with it. So I just put Michel in Henderson's spot at 34.
Indy's defense is not bad. I'm already assuming that Henderson is out, and I have Michel at 34 after Michael.
Which is exactly where I said I would have.
Yeah.
Which is exactly where I said it would happen. So we totally agree. Okay, 12-team PPR: Myers, Callaway, Galladay, Slayton, or Cephas. Pick one. Is this really necessary? There was a report earlier this morning, although I'm tired of these reports, that Kenny Galladay would be on a limited snap count. Whatever that means. A limited. I'm not playing Slayton. Whatever that means. I think I would just play Galladay anyway. And hope for the best. Because these other options are so unappealing.
Harsh, I think you're going to listen to Tyler, but I want to start Cephas here. I'm starting him in one league. I like that he's gotten back-to-back games as, kind of being the wide receiver one. I know Baltimore's a hard matchup. I'm starting him in the league.
I have
over
Cephas.
Myers. And then I don't like Galladay. And then on top of that, saying that he's got limited snap count. We have no idea what that means. Maybe it's 10% less. Maybe it's like.
Remember DeAndre Swift's limited snap count?
Yeah, I mean that's why. It could be complete BS. But I just don't like Galladay to begin with. I wouldn't have drafted him. Obviously, you drafted him. You want to play him, but screw it. Pardon my French. I'm going Cephas.
Yeah, I think he's going to end up going with me and going Galladay. But
I agree. I think people probably like when we agree. They probably go with you when we don't agree.
That's probably true. I have Cephas for the record at wide receiver 73.
Holy cow.
So
I have him 42. I actually have him slightly behind Myers, but gut feels like it's Cephas.
Yeah. No, I'll go Galladay. That's from an earlier question. 3 point for tight end reception? What kind of league? Then Komet. I mean, if it's 3 points, I'll take Komet then. 3 points is a lot. It's not a hard question. 3 points is a lot. PBR flex, Mooney, Fuller, Elijah Moore, or Fournette. Well, speaking of reports, there was a report today that Fournette would start the game. He started week 1. So that's not any different than week 1. I love Ronald Jones. But by I say love Ronald Jones, I hate him. I love that he always fumbles. And then when he gets benched, he's always complaining and whining. I hate Ronald Jones. He's one of my least favorite. Honestly, Ronald Jones is one of my least favorite players.
The Rams D is really good though, and I think that this could be, despite both defenses being really good, I think it could be a shootout. I wouldn't want to start a running back in this game.
I wouldn't either.
Tony or Fournette or Rojo.
It's gonna be Fuller. Fuller for me.
I'm with you. Fuller slightly ahead of Mooney. I'd go Fuller.
Elijah Moore is a complete no-go until I see something better. Because
I like that he got 8 targets last week, but
and what did he do with those?
Wilson was ineffective, and he was ineffective.
He did nothing with those 8 targets, though.
Yeah,
he's
not startable. I have one league that's a one keeper league, and I'm just Moore's holding on to dear life on that team.
Yeah, one keeper, you can just cut him. My flex spot, PPR, Gronk, Miles Sanders, Rondo Moore, Sonny Michel. It's Miles Sanders. I mean, it's Miles Sanders is such secure volume compared to these others. So
I knew we were going to get a lot of Rondell Moore questions today, which is fun. But he's I feel like a quarter of the questions have been Rondell Moore.
Most of them have been easy, though. This is pretty easy.
Yeah, Sanders for sure.
It's not a hard question. Ed. Well, thank you for watching, Ed. Hall of very good. All right. CH, Madison, Jamar Chase, or Sermon. So there's a lot of balls up in the air here. There's the fact that Cook might be out. But you can wait on that because you'll know. So if Cook is out, which is what I would expect, I would have Madison ranked the highest of all the running backs. But does that mean I would play him over Chase? I have Madison at running back 18. I have Chase at wide receiver 25. Running back 18 versus wide receiver 25 in PPR, it's close. Either way, even if Cook does play, I'm fine playing CEH as a running back over Chase anyway. So I'd probably just let Chase go at the 1 o'clock window. Don't play him. And I will just wait, play Madison if Cook is out. Otherwise, play CEH.
I think, I know it's not a good matchup, but I think I'm going Chase here with Higgins out. And I don't know. I feel like it upgrades Boyd the most, mix in a little bit, and I think Chase is going to get his targets. I'm starting Chase in this.
I definitely didn't upgrade Mixon because I think the offense is going to be ineffective without Higgins. So the touchdown, I actually downgraded Mixon.
Wow. But
I did upgrade Chase and Boyd just for the volume. But I only have Chase at wide receiver 25. And Boyd at 32.
I have him 22. I'm starting Chase if
I just put guys who have better matchups ahead of him. I have Mike Williams, Chase Claypool, Robert Woods. Although Robert Woods' matchup isn't great. Deebo Samuel. I have those guys ahead of Chase. Whereas I assume some of those are behind him for you.
Yep. Deebo and Woods are both behind him slightly.
Yeah. Okay. So that was the last question in the chat. And I guess we didn't get to any of the in-advance questions, but I always answer those on Twitter anyway. Those are just if we don't get enough questions in the chat, I'll go to those. But those are all questions. I've even given up on the idea of waiting until after the show to answer them. I just answer them, and I'll read them again if you want a more detailed answer, if your question's chosen. But I never feel the need to get to those because I've already answered them. And I know people got the information that they needed. So with that, I will close the show. Thanks for coming on. I know this was a tough show to do for me and you and everyone. It's a time, it's just kind of a sad time in the industry right now. And I'm just glad we were able to be here. Glad we were able to do the show. I hope you had fun.
For sure. And good luck to everybody. And thank you, Tyler, for having me on.
No problem. And good luck to everyone in your matchups. I hope that we all enjoy today. And I will be back here. There's not going to be a Sunday night recap, by the way, tonight. I'm going to be busy. So that's not going to be an every week thing. But I will be back here Thursday. Haven't decided the time yet, but probably around 6 Eastern like it usually is. And I will see you all then.